HFTV, the Canadiens win 4-2 against the Sabres. What did you think?
Honestly, I thought it was an up and down game. Really different momentum between the first, second, and third period. What I got to say is I'm very happy to see Brendan Gallagher back with Josh Anderson and Jake Evans. I always thought that was their identity line. They brought the fire, they brought the smoke, a lot of good scoring chances, but they took the team into the fight, and that's ultimately what got them to the end and that 4-2 win.
Is there a reason why we let the foot off the gas? Is there a reason why we let the foot off the gas during the second period?
I think there was a little bit of pushback from Buffalo, to be honest with you. I think they obviously showed some pride in their game. Also, the long changes for the Canadiens have always been a problem in the second, getting hemmed in their zone. If you look, it's the period where they get hemmed in their zone the longest. It's not by chance. I thought the Canadiens had a good chance of doing that to the Sabres in the first and the third, but it's that long change, and the Canadiens just got to be a little bit more, I say, aggressive when it comes to their defense, which is easier said than done. But that stems from the forwards playing hard at the blue line and the defensemen continuing to play hard along the boards.
Look, the Habs are not at the Bell Center for next week and a half. What can we expect for the West Coast road trip?
I'm going to be very specific. You mentioned that it's possible that Engstrom joins on the trip. Is that a guess, or is there something?
That would be a guess. That would be a guess, because I sincerely doubt that the Canadiens are going to go up there with Mike, Del Gaizo, for example. No offense to him. With the way that the Rocket defense is already kind of hurt at this point, Engstrom has by far been the best defenseman for the Laval Rocket, without a question. And if you're going to be bringing a guy that I think could realistically actually get games during this road trip, then it has to be Adam Engstrom.
What about David Reinbacher?
Well, David Reinbacher is only due back in a week or so from now. We haven't gotten any information from the Canadiens, but for all intents and purposes, there hasn't been any setback, and it's that kind of injury that you don't really have to worry about a setback. It's a finger injury. So he'll get back into it. They're going to want to give him games too, and by that time, the Canadiens will come back from their road trip as well.
Well, what do you believe? Do you think Laine is going to be out for more than day-to-day? Do you think we're going to see him during the West Coast road trip?
I would expect that you would get that information immediately tomorrow at 10 a.m., just because the Canadiens are going to have to make a call in terms of who they take with them on this road trip. But day-to-day, to me, is a clear standing that they shouldn't be too far behind if there's any kind of problem whatsoever. When it comes to Laine, we weren't given any indication that it was serious, and that's the information we have to run on. So the evaluation is going to be given to us tomorrow in terms of where people are at, and I think they'll go from there.
Okay. Wait, what do you think is more likely? Do you think the Canadiens get a trade for a defenseman or a forward?
Forward. I think the Canadiens have made it no secret that they're in the business of looking for a center at this point. Okay. But there's just simply no centers on the market, and as much as we want to make every trade proposal on the planet, it's going to take something to shake a team to decide they want to trade somebody. Okay. And at this point, it's too early in the season for there to be any kickback reaction, but I would definitely expect some activity in the front of players starting to become available at forward around American Thanksgiving. That's generally where the NHL is expecting there to be a little bit of movement.
Don't believe that with the goalie injury and maybe like possible injury in the future with defensemen, we could trade for a right shot defensive defenseman?
I think Adam Engstrom can play both sides of the ice quite well, and I think that's the value that the Canadiens see in him. There's a reason why he played on the right side for most of the preseason. The Canadiens were testing him specifically for that. And I think if the Canadiens do run into injuries, already that Lane Hudson is playing quite well on the right side for a lefty, I don't necessarily think it's a big hole. I think the Canadiens hit the panic button, ironically, if something happens to Mike Matheson or Noah Dobson. I think at that point, that's when you're like, oh boy, what happens now? We're at forward right now, you can lose a couple of the guys on the bottom 9, let's say, lines 2, 3, and 4, and you have the depth in Laval to be able to call up some guys and play on that fourth line and not hurt your team.
But choosing Engstrom over Reinbacher, is it like proving that they didn't do the right choice back at the 2023 draft?
That's a dynamite question. I'm not going to get into that one.
but he's injured for a week.
But that's the thing. Due to the fact that David Reinbacher hasn't played a full season, due to the fact that he has to come back from injury, due to the fact that Adam Engstrom has been playing pro for the last 3 years since getting drafted. This is an individual that is more mature and whose game is readier for the NHL. It doesn't necessarily mean that the choice was bad, because as they say, it's the player at 23 years old that they're interested in, not the first one that gets to the show. I mean, you can just look at a game like tonight where first overall pick Yuri Slafkovsky scored, and 28th overall pick Yuri Kulich scored as well. Yeah. Right? So it's not about who gets to the show first. It's who stays in the longest, who makes the biggest impact.
Okay. I have a question. So at some point we saw Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov.
Isn't that a tease?
Well,
Well, it was on the line change.
and then Slav comes back and he scores from that situation.
And where was Slav?
He was on the second line.
No, but where was he on the ice?
He was in front of the net.
There it is. There it is. And that's exactly what he needs to do if he wants to be successful in this league. Because most of his goals, most of his career goals, come from right there. And that's what Martin St. Louis said. The moment he starts getting engaged physically, the moment he starts going to the high danger areas, the moment that he is bringing his game to the game, not to steal his line here, is when you see Juraj Slafkovsky that could be the kind of player that the Montreal Canadiens drafted him to be.
I have a question. Wait, 1 second. So Arpin mentioned today that he wouldn't put Demidov on the first PP because it would take Suzuki's position. How true do you feel that is, and will it stick to that?
I don't agree with that necessarily. I think Suzuki's position was taken by Zachary Bolduc. Suzuki is his most effective as a rover in terms of the power play because, and you see it, when he is in the middle of the ice on the power play, he controls the flow and he roves around that power play wherever it goes to support whoever has the puck and then distribute anywhere else. I think if you had him there and you go back to the playoff format that they had when Laine went down, they had a diamond formation where they had Hudson at the top, Demidov on one end, Caulfield in the other, Nick Suzuki in the middle, and Slafkovsky in front of the net. Not for nothing, they scored 2 goals in that game. That's elite talent on your first wave, and as much as I have liked Zachary Bolduc, unfortunately he hasn't jived on that first wave.
You feel like it's coming?
I feel like it's inevitable, just like everyone thought that it was inevitable to see Lane Hudson on that first wave. That it happens now, that it happens after the road trip. I don't think we're getting past Christmas without Ivan Demidov on the first power play wave.
So we're going on a road trip, 4 games. How many points?
You're taking me with you?
Well, are you going?
No, I can't.
Oh, come on, man.
Take us with you.
Yeah, I'm not going.
We're going on a family road trip. Let's do it.
That'd be cool.
Sed is in for anything.
I'm in, not anything.
Except the Blue Jays.
Well, it's not the Blue Jays. Just they're from Toronto, and your best player is walking in with a Matthews jersey. So make them mad.
That was some bad juju, I must say, but at least
it
they
was
broke
good,
the curse.
you see?
At least they broke the curse. Toronto, Maple Leafs, your turn.
But how many points on 8 do you expect the Habs to have?
Yeah, someone asked me that question this morning on BPM Sport. I think the Canadiens, including tonight, I said that they were going to win 8. 8 points.
8 points.
8 points out of a possible 10, starting tonight until next week.
Okay.
So I would say 6 of 8 possible on the road
So
is what I would
like
say.
2 OT losses, 1
I think
loss.
I think the Calgary game is doable for the Canadiens. I think they have
Very
the depth.
Well, they're
yeah.
tanking for Gavin McKenna, obviously. It's
Don't tell Calgary Flames fans because I don't think they caught on just yet. But definitely they're a more structured team. I think the Edmonton Oilers have dropped a couple of important games of late. They're going to want to bounce back. And I think the Vancouver Canucks are a very takeable team. And then Seattle, I mean, we saw the game that happened here. I think the Canadiens didn't play as good of a game then as they did against the Buffalo Sabres. So I expect the Canadiens to be able to bring that as long as they're able to figure out their defensive structure and obviously being able to play with that last change. Without that last change.
Last question for you. Is Montembeault still our starter?
Yeah, I think it's too early to do a goalie controversy at this point. I think at this junction, you go with the hot hand, yes. But the Montreal Canadiens are better served having 2 strong goalies here. And to me, it's always difficult. You remember the way that Jakub Dobeš started his career with the Canadiens last year. 4 really strong games against really strong opponents. And then the moment he started getting a little bit more in terms of workload, that's when the play started dipping.
Well, he didn't have the mattress picture last year.
Honestly, that's a clutch picture here. That's a good point. That's a very good point. That's a clutch picture. But you have to, on ice, Jakub Dobeš has obviously improved. His explosivity is great. He's covering his corners very well. The percentages are playing really well into his favor with his big frame. Montembeault has been clutch for this team. Unfortunately, the team in front of him didn't do him any favors in most of those games. What I will say is he's the kind of goalie that's had a bad game or 2, then bounced back and played 7 straight excellent games. So I expect to see that kind of Montembeault. And the Canadiens are going to do everything in their power to make sure he gets back into it.